Hello, everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerosity. You know, you can't listen to classic rock without listening or hearing Blue Oyster Cult somewhere along the way. And boy, what a impression that band has made on the soundtrack of our youth. I mean, gotta have, Fear the Reaper. You had Saturday Night Live and Will Ferrell doing, the song and saying more cowbell. But, it just goes to show you how big of an impact Blue Oyster Cult has had on us as individuals, on society, and on the music of our youth, as I already said. Well, as you may recall, I've interviewed co-founder Joe Bouchard a couple of times a few years ago. And now I get to interview his brother, Albert, who has come out with a new solo album called Mutant Transformation. And it's the third in the trilogy of the Imagining trilogy, which is kind of a novel, music for a novel, so to speak. And so as musicians always do, they bring in their friends, and, Albert certainly has done that. And he's got his band, The Dictators, on here. It's great music, absolutely great music. So if you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan and you just love that sound, you're going to like this album. You're going to love this album because it's kind of like Blue Oyster Cult, but completely different. Albert's got his own sound, and you're absolutely going to love it. So definitely get it if you don't have it already. Please give this interview a listen. Please like the interview. Please subscribe to our channel or to the podcast channel or our podcast, wherever you're listening to this podcast on. And please share it with your friends so they can enjoy it too, and subscribe and like and that sort of thing, because that's kind of our lifeblood here. So without any further ado, I'm Randy Patterson with Boomerosity with our first interview with the great Albert Bouchard of Blue Oyster Cult. Until next time, take care. Hello, Albert.
Oh, hey.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Hey, I love your background there. Where are you at?
I'm at the Welcome Center by the Thousand Islands Bridge.
Okay, and that's in what state? Thousand Islands.
New York. It's
okay,
on the border of Canada.
Oh my goodness.
Canada, about a couple miles, but
I see. Well, very good. Well, hey,
I'm on the mainland. I have my parents have my parents are gone now, but we have a cottage on this island over here, and there's a bridge to it, and the internet is not very good there, so I've come over to the Welcome Center where they have I shouldn't put this out there, but I will, a free charging thing for your electric vehicle. So
oh wow, very cool.
Free. Yeah, it's cheaper anyway, than gas, but yeah.
Well, enjoy that while you can, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Well, man, thanks so much for taking the time. I know I've interviewed Joe a couple of times, so this is my first time to get to talk with you. So it's an honor, and so thank you for taking the time to chat about your new release. But before I ask you about it, I was wanting to ask you how are you fully back from the COVID shutdown stuff? Are you back to the new normal, or are you still getting in the groove of things, or how's that all working out for you?
Pretty much it's over, as far as I'm concerned. I did get COVID. I think I might have even got it a couple times, but I had all the shots, so it was really not a big deal. I mean, I've had the flu before, and so I get the flu shot every year. But yeah, the flu is no fun. But the COVID was pretty weak. Basically a day of feeling bad, and then a week or maybe 2 weeks of my voice getting all, I had the rock and roll voice for a couple of days there.
Quick, cut some tracks, right? So.
Yeah, I did. Believe me, on this new record, I cut one track right in the middle of COVID. I think the third day after I had it.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about really getting it. More concerned about spreading it, but even that, I think we've turned the corner on this thing.
Sounds like it. Hopefully, hopefully that'll be it for our lifetimes, at least, you know. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how's Joe doing? It's been a while since I talked to him. Is he doing okay?
I think he's doing good. Yeah, he's got his own band
Right.
now. You know, I played with him last year in a band that we called the Bouchard
Right.
Brothers. It was the two of us plus his girlfriend Joan, and that was okay. But I remember at the time saying, "Joe, I'm frustrated not playing with a drummer." You know, I did a bunch of gigs with Blue Oyster Cult last year,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and Jules Rodino was the drummer, and I really enjoyed playing. And I have a solo band where Cizanne Griffin is the drummer, and I really enjoy playing with the drummer. It's much more. It's to me, it's more work playing without a drummer because I'm so used to a certain level of precision,
Yeah.
you know, parts, and when you play without a drummer, it's like I felt like you know, everybody liked the shows, but I felt it was not. I wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
So
Well, you didn't have that rhythm to fall back on. It's like trying to record without a click track or something, right? So,
yeah. So he's like, "Oh, we don't need a drummer," you know. But meanwhile, so now he's got a drummer. He's got Mickey Curry, who was a hell of a drummer. He's a great drummer. So
mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think he's happy with that, you know. So not to say that I influenced his decision, but
hey, what are brothers for, right? So
yeah, that's right. That's right. We still, you know, we've just finished a new Blue Coupe record, so
very good.
that's coming out. Yeah, pretty soon, I think.
So yeah,
You know,
did I hear correctly or did I dream this? If John Regan recently left us, right?
what?
What was I thinking? Somebody, I thought John Regan was gone. No.
Not that I know of. I haven't heard anything
Never
about
mind.
that.
Strike that from the record, Your Honor. I got that one wrong. So
I hope he's still around. He's
I think
relatively
he
young.
is too. So I don't know what made that pop in my mind. It seemed like there was somebody recently that was tied to Blue Coupe, and I thought, but you know what? I think it was. This just shows my age. I see something during the day, and I saw something on a Blue Coupe record that was in some of my stack of stuff, right? And I think I dreamed about it last night, and I was thinking, wow, we're getting up there, and we're good. It's good to be alive. So I dreamed the opposite, right? So.
Tell me, so I'm up here in the North Country. I mean, I love it up here, and my family has this cottage over here, and it's wonderful. My brother Jimmy is here, so we've been hanging out. I haven't seen him in 2 years, so it's really nice.
Wow.
But I'm really up here for my high school reunion, which was it was wonderful seeing this. I guess it was about 15 or 16 of us that were at the reunion. It's my 58th year since I graduated from high school. And, and I really loved it. And then that was the day before yesterday. Then yesterday I woke up and I was depressed. I was like, there's more, of the males, the females, there's not too many that have died. There's only a couple, but the males, out of I think there was 12 of us, and now there's only 3.
Wow.
In my class.
Wow.
3 guys.
Well, I went to it was an off-year reunion. I grew up in Phoenix, and I went to mine last year, and it was a multi-class reunion, so we could have more.
Yeah.
On that. And it was sad to see how many people lost. Hey, Albert, I hate to say this. I thought I was wrong, but I was wrong. We lost John back in April, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back in April. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that, but my memory was right for a change, and I wish it wasn't.
Wow.
I think it was a cancer thing or something, if I remember right, but I just now looked it up and saw the beginning and the end dates. So anyway, sorry about that, man.
Yeah.
But, well, hey, let's talk about brighter things and new recording. I love what I've heard, man. Mutant Reformation. Tell me the story behind it.
Well, this was something that go back to the beginning. Imaginos was this concept that Sandy Proman came up with right at the very beginning, before there was a Blue Oyster Cult, before the Soft Red Underbelly. Sandy had this idea for this story, and he told me the story when I met him, and I thought, oh, that's cool. This guy is really creative, but I didn't realize that it was going to be like songs. I thought it was going to be like this. He was going to write a novel or something, or some short stories or something. But shortly thereafter, once we started writing songs together, and I might like to add that Buddha's Knee was the first song that we ever wrote together.
Oh, wow.
So which is the last song on this final, supposedly final Imaginos record.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were recording the initial Imaginos record, we started it in 1982. After I was no longer in Blue Oyster Cult. Before that, Sandy and I were trying our best to talk them into recording this group of songs that Sandy had written, and Joe and the rest of the group. We'd worked on some of these songs. Astronomy was one of them, and Blue Oyster Cult worked up a version of I'm the One You Warn Me Of, and some of the others, Del Rio song. And so while we were recording, I said, so what happens after this? So, Imaginos is going to come out. It's going to be the big hit that we expect it'll be. So what are we going to follow it up with? And he said, well, it's going to be 3 records. It's going to be Bombs Over Germany next. And I said, so I guess it's going to have ME-262 in it. Yeah, he said, it's going to trace the mirror is now corrupted the Europeans, and they've gone all narcissistic, and they're trying to restore their countries to the former glory, etc. And so there's going to be all these wars. And I said, okay. And then what happens after that? How's it end? He goes, well, that's what Half-Life Time is all about. The last war where mankind destroys itself. I said, oh, okay. What happens after that? How do we get another record out of this?
How do you follow up such a feel-good album like that, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. He said, well, it's going to be the Mutant Reformation. It's going to be, life is going to regenerate itself, except not as we know it, So that's how the idea of the 3 records came about. And, what happened with Imaginos when it came out, and it was all this drama about, that the record company didn't want to put it out as a Bouchard record. So Sandy talked them into it. He basically begged them and bribed them to put their name on it. The Blue Oyster Cult put their name on it, and then it came out and it bombed as it was predictable, really, because that was when Columbia Records decided that it was all about the single, and they didn't really give a crap about an artist, developing talent, which is, it's kind of turned around a little bit the past few years, but it's still, there's still too much emphasis on, that big hit that everybody wants, and not enough really on trying to have something unique and meaningful. So, yeah.
How long did it take you to put this together?
This one took a couple years. I really took my time with it. After the first one came out, I was shocked that, I made the charts, I made money. It was sold really well. And so then I was, I was raring to go with Bombs Over Germany. So that one we did relatively quickly. The first one, Reimaginos, took a couple years to do. Mm-hmm. And then Bombs Over Germany, I did it in less than a year, like 11 months between when the one came out, Reimaginos, and then Bombs Over Germany came out 11 months later. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. And after that, I was like, okay, well, Sandy told me what he wanted on that record, but this record, the Mutant Reformation, I had no information. There was no, there was no idea other than the title and, the concept that, that life, reestablishes itself on Earth. So I had to kind of make things up. I wrote a few songs to tie the story together, and it was. I mean, I like doing my favorite thing when I'm writing a song is just to write something just for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who. It's not trying to be a hit record. It's not trying to. I'm not writing it for any particular group. I'm just like doing something. I'm healing myself. Usually.
Yeah.
Something that's vexing me, and I write a song, and especially if it's a negative emotion, I can, if the song is clever enough, I can just laugh about it later.
There you go.
So, but I do like having an assignment to write a song. So this is my assignment to write the song, and I found that I couldn't do it all by myself. That I had to reach out to other people. So that was great. I had about 30 people help me in it. Actually, more than 30. It was, I think, 36 or 37 other musicians contributed to this record. I co-wrote songs with Richie Castellano, Susie Lorraine. I guess basically those two, but it was really a great collaborative effort. It took a long time to get it all together. I got everybody that's on the other records except for, I had too many guitar players on this one.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, there isn't. It's impossible. But I did have Steve. I played with Robert Gordon for about 6 months before he died. And so I used the two guitar players that he used, I used on my record too. And the bass player that he used, I used on one song. Mm-hmm. So I got those guys to contribute. And then Ross the Boss, of course, had to, he's always up for it, So, so Ross the Boss, and then I had RJ Ronquillo, and I was learning a lot about playing guitar, so I actually did a bunch of leads myself. I had Mike Fornatel do a lead with me on one of the songs, and he played rhythm on about a third of the songs.
Oh, cool.
So I got Chasm Sultan to help me out.
Oh yeah, Kaz. So, yeah, I've interviewed him several years ago. Great guy. I need him again.
I love him. I love playing with him. He's a fantastic musician and just a great guy. Just a great guy.
Respected by so many other greats, not just yourself, but you got Rundgren and
Ringo. He plays with Ringo. So yeah. In
fact, I passed him. I was first time I interviewed Steve Lukather was probably 10 years ago. 8 or 9 years ago. And he was going on the road with Ringo. He goes, "Hey, we're going to be stopping near where you're at." I live in the Smoky Mountains, and he goes, "We're going to be in Greenville, South Carolina. Won't you come into the show?" I said, "Okay, cool." And it was with Ringo and all that. I had no thought that I'd get to go backstage. But here I am. I'm walking around backstage with Luke. He goes, "Well, you want to meet the boss?" I was like, "Well, yeah, And so we're walking down the hall, him and Todd Rundgren and a couple others, and I found out later Kaz was in there, and we didn't register with each other that we, because of course back then it was all by phone. I hadn't started doing Zoom. Sure enough, Luke took us back there and brought in Ringo soon after that. So for about 5 minutes, I got to breathe the same air as a Beatle, So it was a lot of fun. Hey, what surprises did you have in working on this record? I mean, you've worked on so many. Were there any surprises on this one?
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot. I think. I reconnected with Susie Lorraine, who was somebody that I've known since she was. I met her when she just turned 17. So. And we've known each other, and she is a music freak. She's always, she was a groupie for a while when she was young. Mm-hmm. When I met her, she was a groupie. She was not my groupie. I want to point that out. I was married at the time, and so I'm not like that. but she was you know, she knew everybody. She knew Keith Moon, which I was so impressed. She was his girlfriend for a couple weeks, so
One of long-term
on one tour,
relationships. Yeah.
and she was friendly with him for until he passed. So Keith Moon was one of my biggest influences. So anyway, I knew her because of that, and we did go out for a while. And when I was first starting Imaginos, she became my girlfriend for a couple of years there, and as in the beginning. And of course, she knew Sandy, and she knew the whole story. So when we got together last year, she had a lot of opinions about some of these songs, about Al, this doesn't work, or this song's awkward, and so she really was very involved in the music and the lyrics and everything of this new version. So she was a big help for me, and so that was some of the things. Like there's a song called Mothra and the Starfish, and she's like, Al, this song doesn't make it. You should leave it off. You got plenty of songs, and I'm like, but I like it, and it's also, it's about the mutants, it's about the radiation, and all of that, and she's like, well, I get that you want to have it in the thing, but the music just doesn't make it, and I didn't even write the song. It was written by Alan Lanier. So over 6 months, she was working on me to change it, so I did, and she's like, no, it still doesn't work. No, and finally, when we got it right, I put it on, and I said, now, maybe you should sing it. I was singing it first because she sang a harmony to me, and I said, that harmony is better than the melody. Why don't you sing your harmony, and I'll come in and harmonize with you. So she sang it. I thought, this is great. I'd already sent an earlier version to RJ Ronquillo in Nashville to have him put a guitar on it. And he's like, oh, Albert, I'm kind of busy. I'm doing these demos, blah, blah, blah. And, I had to go out and play with, what's his name from Slipknot, Corey, I don't know. He does some gigs with this heavy metal band. So he was kind of sandbagging me on it, and then I sent him the version with Susie singing it, and 2 days later I have a lead that is, the whole song was so beautiful. I was like, I actually brought tears to my eyes. I thought, this is so great, that this song has been fully realized for the first time ever. So yeah, that was one of the best moments. The other moment was when I had written the song. Sandy Proman wanted me to write a song called Mountains of Madness, based upon the H.P. Lovecraft story of the same name. Well, the story was called At the Mountains of Madness. So I wrote a song, and Sandy didn't like it. He said, Albert, no, this is not at all what I had in mind. I wanted like a horror, it's like something scary or something like that. So I ended up not using that track, and not, thinking, well, I just don't know what to do. So while I was making the record, I said, oh, I get it. Maybe Imaginos, he has to, because the whole idea was he was going to be redeemed. Redeemed was originally about Imaginos. I have a suitcase full of Sandy's lyrics, and you see each song that he wrote, there's probably 10 different versions in the suitcase. So you see how, instead of the dogs, Erasmus Bear, it was going to be Imaginos. Mm-hmm. So I knew he had to be relieved. And so he had to do something with the mirror, because the mirror was a problem. It was causing all these wars and stuff. So I decided that the mirror would get thrown into the Mountain of Madness with all the Cully-Thu and the elder ones, the elder things, I guess is how it's called in the story, the H.P. Lovecraft story. So I wrote a song, and I thought, I like the idea of the song, but it is laying there like a turd. It's just doing nothing. It's just too repetitious. It's too. I mean, repetition is good, but it was not exciting. So I called up Richie Castellano and I said, Richie, can you help me with this? He sure. So and we'd only written one song before, and that song came out good, great. It came out very good, but how we did it, he came over to my apartment and we spent 4 hours on the lyrics and then 20 minutes on the demo. We just threw down the thing, and so I knew that it was going to be like that. So once again, instead of 4 hours, it was like 2 weeks we spent on the lyrics, because we were doing it over Zoom, because we were both pretty busy, and I was out on Long Island at the time, so we get the lyrics and we got it all. Now we've really got the lyrics pretty honed in pretty well, but we don't really have the music. And so I said, so he said, well, how about this, and I actually, we did it over FaceTime. So I have it all recorded, and, how about this? And I'm like, geez, Rich, that's a lot of chords. He goes, yeah, but you'll see, it'll work. So I work it up with the band and I sent it to him. We did a live version, and he goes, I got another idea. Let me do a little demo for you, before you go into the studio. I said, well, we're going in. He says, I can't do it right now, but with sometime in the next 2 weeks. I said, but we're going to the studio this weekend. I have to have something. He goes, okay, well, I'll see what I can do. Less than an hour later, I have a demo that is almost exactly like what's on the record. I'm like, holy crap, this is fantastic. So then I had to teach it to the band, and of course, there's still way too many chords. So they were like, oh my God, Al, you're killing us here. We got these other 5 songs that are, really tight. And then we've got this song where we don't know what we're doing. So I said, well, let's try it, So we got to the studio. We did the other 5 songs in maybe 3 hours. We knocked them out right away. I said, okay, let's try this Mountain of Madness song. And we had to do like 6 or 7 takes. But by the end, we had a take that was all good, And then Richie said, I said, Richie, you should sing it. Your demo is so good. And he said, oh, are you sure it's your record? I said, no, I want you to sing it. So so he sat on that for a few weeks, and then he wrote back and said, I can't top the demo. You're going to have to use a demo vocal. I said, okay, that's fine. So yeah, he had like a moment, where he was all, I'm sure he got manic and he was just like throwing down parts like crazy, So so that was the other great moment, the Mountain of Madness moment, where I just loved how it came all together. And then he said, I'll get Eric to do the narration in the middle, So they did that in a hotel room somewhere in Pennsylvania, I think.
Well, from the songs of this project, what one would you point to and say as a calling card and say, hey, if you like this, you're really going to love the rest of the record?
Well, I don't know. I think Flaming Telepath really
what I
tells
had
the
down.
whole story.
That's what I was going to tell you mine was, but I didn't want to put a bug in your ear. That's exact. I wrote it down right here that was my go-to song there. So
yeah, that kind of has it all. I mean, it's like Blue Oyster Cult, but it's different.
Yeah.
So I think that tells the whole story. It's I didn't really change it very much, but it has enough of a difference that you can tell it's more modern, and it kind of fits in with the acoustic, acoustic, electric, heavy, heavy, soft, all these opposites.
Yeah. The contrasts work well, but so from those that have heard it so far, because it's still, I don't think it's released yet, but for those who have heard it, first of all, I love it. I think it's great. What's the feedback you're getting from others who have heard it?
Fantastic! It is number 16 last week in the Amazon physical sales chart. That's it for the whole United States. So, when you think about how many records are released, it's fantastic. This is doing better than any of the others, and it's doing better than any record I've ever put out. So
Good deal.
this is this current record. So yeah, it's pretty darn
Well,
exciting. I have
congratulations
to tell you. Yeah, everybody is involved is like really excited. It's like, oh my God, this is really working. So
Cool.
yeah,
Is there going to be any
that's
kind of tour to support the record, or are you just going to
we
work it from home?
we had a bunch of dates and we had to postpone them because the record company pushed the release date back a month. So now we're just doing some promo. But yeah, I have 4 dates booked so far, and Sony Hall is August 30th. Then we have the Ram's Head in Annapolis, Maryland on the 2nd of September. And then on the 6th, we have Daryl's House in Pauley, New York.
All right.
And on the 7th, we have the Tally Ho in Leesburg, Virginia.
Very cool.
So,
Well, I hope you get down to my neck of the woods over in East Tennessee or even Nashville. I'd drive over to see you. But
yeah, I'm not sure that that's going to happen this year because right as soon as those gigs are done, I'm going to Spain with the Dictators and doing another Dictators tour. We have 10 dates. And then I have a recording session with a heavy metal group in Paris, and then when I get back from that, we're supposedly, I don't know, it's not confirmed at all. So, but we've been invited to join the Damned on their East Coast tour from mid-October to after Thanksgiving. So yeah, so that's so. But I'll be working on touring next year with the solo. Doing more dates and. Trying to get a proper tour where we do like 30 dates or something. Yeah. So,
well, either way, regardless of who you're playing with, I'll keep an eye on it. And if you get within spitting distance of me, I'll swing over and.
That would be great. I have to go, Randy. I've got another interview right now. So
all right, my friend.
Got to sign off, but it's been great talking to you, and I look forward to doing it again.
Likewise, my door's always open to you, Albert. Take care and give my regards to Joe too, please.
All right,
thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.